Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching the news at 10 on Channels Television, coming to you live from Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. President Jonathan makes national broadcast, touches on attack of innocent students in Yobe, also sets up a 13-man advisory committee on national conference. Former Nigerian leaders lend their voices to call for peace and national unity as Nigeria turns 53. The 11th edition of the platform holds in Lagos. State of the Nation, challenges and opportunities dominate talks. And President Obama vows not to allow Republicans undermine Obamacare as a condition to end shutdown. Now, all our top stories are on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. If you're on the go, please visit m.channelstv.com to view us live on an iPad, iPhone or BlackBerry. And you can also download the Channels TV app for Android and Nokia 920 from their respective stores. Well, you can also be part of the news, and how is this possible? You can now interact with Channel's Eyewitness feature on our Android and Windows 8 platforms. Now, if you have a picture or video to share with us on how the Independence Day was celebrated, all you need to do is download the Channels TV Android application on your device, swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu, and then follow the instructions to share your report, your pictures, and your videos. So do take advantage of any of our platforms today. Nigerians have been asked to get to know more about government policies and programs. The challenge was given at the 11th edition of the Independence Day program, The Platform, where some of the speakers examined governance issues in the country. The host of the yearly event, Boju Oyemade of the Covenant Christian Center, and the former Education Minister, Obi Ezekwesili, are of the view that poor governance is the result of a neglect of the nation's core values. The Platform is an annual event of the Covenant Christian Center in Lagos, introduced to create an avenue for shared knowledge among the civil populace. The 2013 edition focuses on the state of the nation, challenges and opportunities.
We believe in a democracy that is in a democratic system of governance. The most important part of that system is the participation of the civil populace in the art of governance. And that power, or the power of that populace, is determined by how educated and how informed they are.
The guest speakers center their presentation on the transformation of governance in Nigeria and highlighted the reasons for poor governance in the country.
Empirically, we finally got to a place where there is consensus amongst majority Nigerians of the two most critical obstacles to the greatness of the nation. And they said, corruption and poverty.
It's only in Africa that you have oil in your backyard, you harvest your oil, and then you send it to Europe, you send it to America, and then you import petrol. It doesn't happen anywhere else in the world. It's only in Africa that you have cocoa, and there's nobody in Africa making chocolates or making sweets.
The issue of resource costs. Several studies have proved that countries that depend on natural resources, they are always lacking in the fundamentals of development.
Nigerians were also asked to insist on good leadership for excellent policies.
Like Nigeria, all that we need to do is to simply respect some of the institutions that we already have. I hear Nigerians have this conversation where they say, it's not about the individual, it's about the institution. It is neither nor. It is not a zero-sum game. You need competent individuals with character and with capacity.
which is so important because one of the things that a lot of societies don't understand is the importance of taking risk. You know, we have a saying in Silicon Valley that you haven't succeeded until you've failed many times over. And you could create a multi-billion-dollar company, but if you can't claim to have failed, nobody takes you seriously. And I think that Nigerians have an incredible appetite for risk, and it's part of what makes all of you so successful, and it's part of why entrepreneurship thrives in this society.
The issue for us is that it is possible for government to encourage local people to expand their businesses, to do the kind of retail trading that these big retailers are doing. Entirely possible. We need to fix certain things. We need to fix titling, land. We need to fix financing. Long-term financing is important. We must be able to provide help. Government must be able to provide help for all of those who can do these kinds of businesses that provide enough jobs. As I said, retailing is probably one of the easiest ways of providing jobs.
Opinions have been made by the speakers at this year's event on the state of the nation, and Nigerians will do well to heed these recommendations. This may just be the beginning of a rebirth for Nigeria. And in the spirit of the Independence Day celebration, many Nigerians and members of the diplomatic corps gathered at the presidential villa to witness the change of guard. The ceremony had some former leaders, service chiefs, members of the Federal Executive Council, and members of the National Assembly in attendance. Our State House correspondent Chukwuma Onyekwusi captured some of the highlights from the celebrations.
Here again, the Nigerian government chose the forecourt of the presidential villa to mark the nation's Independence Day. They say it's because of the low-key nature of the event, but that did not in any way diminish the significance of the day. The national salute heralded the arrival of President Jonathan. He mounted the dais for the national anthem. That was followed by opening prayers by the president of the Christian Association of Nigeria and the chief imam of the Abuja Central Mosque. The presidential change of guards parade was something to behold as the guests, some of them past heads of government, sat to savor the event that lasted for about an hour. The soldiers here in position are the ones that take care of security in the presidential villa, and they left no one in doubt as to what the military stands for in the defense of the integrity of Nigeria. The guests watched how the water guards carry out inspections at the beginning of each working week. Inspection that also touched on the exchange of weapons to ensure dexterity in their handling while on duty. Relay of sentry orders and sentry postings, and the spectacular silent drill. Then the drum beats for color patrol. The Commander-in-Chief signed the anniversary register, performed the release of the ceremonial pigeons signifying peace, harmony, and mutual existence. Then the president was joined by the two former leaders who attended the event to cut the anniversary cake. If you expected a parade of huge military formations and the best military hardwares on Nigeria's Independence Day, well, government has promised that all that will take place when the nation marks 100 years of its existence as a nation. And that will be in January next year. From the presidential villa, Chukwuma Onyekwusi, Channels Television News.
Well, Nigerians across various states in the country also marked this year's independence anniversary with the hope of a better Nigeria. In some states like Ogun, Ekiti and Lagos, march pasts were held to commemorate the day as the governors reflect on the nation's journey to date. Our correspondent Adesheba Josh reports.
The 53rd Independence celebration was marked across the country with colorful march past and speeches that centered on patriotism and national cohesion. In Lagos, the Lagos State Governor, members of labor unions, students, men from the State Police Command, Boy Scouts, to mention a few, all graced the march past at the Police College Ikeja. Even royal dignitaries were not left out as they delightfully watched the parade. In a speech, Governor Babatunde Fashola commended the resilience of all Nigerians.
Despite the various challenges that we are facing, I remain inspired by the fact that Nigerians continue to repose faith in this country.
In other parts of the southwest, the Ekiti State Governor, Kayode Fayemi, who addressed the people in Ado-Ekiti, pointed out that democracy is not a journey, but a destination. While his Ogun State counterpart, Governor Ibikunle Amosu, urged caution as Nigeria still faces many challenges.
The present situation in many parts of the country does not call for elaborate celebration. Rather, we should use this as a period for sober reflection to ruminate and pray to God to bless our efforts in building a great nation.
However, in the southeastern part of the country, Governor Rochas Okorocha of Imo State at a press conference called on Nigerians to imbibe the spirit of unity and patriotism. In Jos, the Plateau State capital, some youths in colorful green t-shirts with the inscription Nigeria at 53 skated in the streets in an energetic display to commemorate the day. Also, in the spirit of the celebration, the state government granted freedom to 5 prisoners in the state.
Here is a sign, and Governor John Jang is showing it very clearly, that prisoners also have a future, and that if they are given the chance, they can contribute to a greater nation.
As the 53rd independence anniversary of Nigeria draws to a close, the most popular conversation on the lips of almost everybody here is hope and the way forward. But you know what they say, hope is not a strategy. It will take the active planning and involvement of all of us to move the country forward. Happy Independence Celebration. Adeshawa Josh, Channels Television News.
Now, for many Nigerians, it's been 53 years of political turbulence, and analysts have identified leadership as the nation's major challenge. As we continue our Independence Anniversary series, our focus tonight is politics. In this report, our political correspondent Seun Okinbaloye takes us on a trip back in time through the political events that have shaped our national existence.
These are the faces of some of those who fought for Nigeria's independence. Although they scarcely knew what the future held, they dreamt of a glorious country, respected among the Committee of Nations. As soon as it gained independence from Great Britain under a constitution that provided for a parliamentary system of government, the movement towards realizing its own destiny started. 3 years after, it became a republic, but in another 3 years, like a plague, the military struck, ending the Fourth Republic. For another 13 years, the military held on to power. In 1979, the nation could breathe a sigh of relief as 5 political parties competed in an election in which Alhaji Shehu Shagari of the National Party of Nigeria, NPN, was elected president.
Shagari, do solemnly swear.
On June 12, 1993, General Babangida annulled the result of the presidential election with Chief MKO Abiola and Bashir Tofa as the main contenders. The chaos that followed ultimately resulted in the emergence of General Abdulsalami Abubakar as head of state, who then in 1999 handed over to a democratically elected government of the PDP led by Olusegun Obasanjo, the man who headed a military government about 20 years earlier. It is believed that this instability in leadership underscores the level of development the country has recorded so far.
The wrong person seems to have been in charge of our political destiny. You see, a country is as good as its political leadership, because the leadership must set the agenda.
The management of the democratic process has posed the greatest challenge. Electoral process has largely been plagued by irregularities, and the umpire has always been in the line of fire.
There is no doubt that we've taken this as a major challenge, and we will give it our best, and God willing, we will succeed. The aspirations of all Nigerians and the international community is that the INEC should be truly independent and impartial, and should bring about credible, free and fair elections.
But as the story changed today,
I can see what appears to be demonstrable effort and commitment to make the process better, more credible, more transparent. I think Professor Jiga's team is on course.
But fully aware of the ideal, Nigerians rose in condemnation of the third-time bid of President Obasanjo. At some point in the journey, the legislature threw civility to the wind.
Everybody come back to it. Beat him up! Beat him up! Beat him up!
The ruling party, the PDP, has enjoyed dominance for 14 years. It has also seen tremendous crises, and the latest one seems to be a hard knot. In the meantime, the 2015 fever has got a political atmosphere charged, so much that the major opposition parties have come together to give the PDP a big fight at the polls, with predictions about the outcome tending towards a negative.
Restructuring and introduction of true federalism for this country to grow again. You will, if you do some political history, you will find that the growth of this country was fastest between 1960 and 1966. Since then, it has slumped. And the major difference between then and now is lack of federalism now and very strong federalism then.
Whether it ends as another high point in Nigeria's cycle of political failures or a fulfillment of the dream of our founding fathers, it depends on the way our current political actors decide to play the game. Sheun Okinbaloye reporting for Channels Television News.
When the news at 10 returns, more on our focus on politics. I'll be joined in the studio by an Associate Professor of Political Science, Dr. Demi Ologbanla. Please join us again.